Good afternoon, Paul. Welcome to the first ever leadership lessons with
Oh, very
Paul.
exciting, mate. Excellent.
Yes, very excited, very excited. So today, mate, we wanted to talk about personal development, what it means, dissecting it, why it's important, what you've noticed in the corporate world compared to the sporting world. So we'll kind of just dive straight in, mate, and chat about this thing that we've really heard like it's really gotten popular, personal development, these two words. I remember being 15, 16, 17, 18, going to the airport and looking through the bookstore as you do because there's nothing else to do, and seeing the self-help section, and laughing with Tyler about the self-help section and who needs books to figure out how to live their life, I remember thinking. But obviously as I got older and the work that we do now and the work that I do, so much of it is around personal development. How have you seen over your life just the idea of personal development transform?
Yeah, I think you've articulated well. I mean, when I was a young fella, basically personal development was going to high school and then going to college or going to work, or for me, going to football. But now there's a lot more awareness about it. I think the thing that hit me, mate, is particularly doing the leadership group and then doing the onboarding calls. Most people are probably frustrated that they're being told when they get into the corporate world that will develop you, but they don't, and you've been on all the calls when we talk about, leadership and no one's teaching leadership. You can see all the heads are nodding and they're going, no, you're right, Ruzi. No one's actually teaching leadership. So I think it's really important for people to say, well, don't leave it up to anyone else. Do it yourself, and don't feel like, it's a one-off. Oh, why am I having to learn something? Why don't I know it? No, everyone's in the same boat. I
Mm.
was just lucky. I learned it from Bernie Quinlan, Mickey Conlon, Gary Wilson, Laurie Serafine, all these great people. And we do learn a lot from people around us. But now you've got a great opportunity to listen to podcasts, to read books, to get on, leadership development courses. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. I
Mm.
think that's the big thing that's for me, has come out of it. And the second thing I'll say is, don't keep kicking the can down the road. And if you do that, part with the money, whatever that money is and whatever the cost is, part with it because you'll get it back tenfold.
Mm.
I had a guy on the call the other day and he said, I want to move up the corporate ladder, and I need to know, you move up the corporate ladder, you get a $10,000 pay rise, a 20,000, whatever it is. But if you kick the can down the road, you're not going to take advantage of the opportunities that present itself.
Mm. Why do you think corporates don't follow through on their word? What's the missing piece for a company, for a CEO, for a leader that's preaching, whether it's culture with the work that you do? And I think you probably know that statistic where culture is 5 times more likely to impact the bottom line than strategy, but everyone defaults to strategy. But it's the same thing with personal development. It's like we know that we need to be investing in our skills and in our people. From a company standpoint or corporate leadership standpoint, why aren't they investing in it? Why is it not top of mind?
I don't think they understand it. I think it's easy when you go through with it at school, you're learning about technical things, the P&L, the marketing, the IT, etc. So it's really easy to defer to that because, as you said, that stat is something like 90% of CEOs think culture is more important than strategy, yet 75% of those same CEOs defer to strategy because they're more comfortable doing the technical side of the business.
Can
And
you
the out
repeat that stat again? Repeat that again.
something like 90% of CEOs believe culture is more important than strategy, yet 70+% of those same CEOs
Mm.
defer to strategy because they're just more comfortable doing it. And to be
Yeah.
fair to the businesses, when you're in the business, you're doing, doing. You don't pull yourself out. And I get frustrated. I got another text from someone the other day, who's going to do some work with us. Said, oh, look, we're restructuring, we're gonna move it 3-6 months, and I sent it back to him. I said, look, I knew that was going to happen because the business owner, it's a private company, the business owner is just not invested in
Yeah.
culture, not invested in his people.
Mm.
They think outcome, and they think the only way to get the outcome is keep pushing sales or keep pushing, we've got to get a better lease, or we've got to do this. Change your culture, get a great culture. People want to come to work, people get energized, and your profit's going to go through the roof. I mean, that's basically proven anyway.
And when we're talking about personal development, what do you see as the most important thing that the average person needs to start to work on themselves? If you're taking just the average corporate leader that you work with, what's the first thing that you encourage them to focus on, whether that's a skill set, a mindset shift? What is it?
Well, again, I think when we're talking about personal development, corporates are good at the technical personal development, all right? So they will help the marketing person potentially become a better marketer, the IT person become a better, in IT, whatever that is. But I think what gets forgotten is the leadership component. Yeah, it's the thing, when you get to a certain level in a business, you're asked to stop doing. Okay, it's the player coach syndrome. When I coach Sydney and when I coach Melbourne, I can't run onto the field. All right. Executives can, leaders can. The sales manager can run onto the field. The marketing manager can run onto the field still. So I think the things that they really need to focus more on are some of the things that we are probably more mainstream now: authenticity, empathy, empowerment, collaboration, all those sort of things that someone called, I don't know who coined the phrase soft skills, but let's call them soft skills. And I think that's the area people have to invest more time into. And if you do that, I'm confident that the technical stuff is there. Primary school, high school, university, business, whatever it is. The same with football. I was confident when I went to Fitzroy, they're going to teach me how to kick, mark, and handball. That wasn't a problem. But it was, as I said, it was those players that taught me the other aspects of relationship building and discipline and working hard, and obviously the coaches and so forth. So if we call them soft skills, they're the things that people need to be more wary of in terms of their personal development.
Has there been a decline in culture as a whole, where mentoring happened naturally within the organization, and have we become more transactional? Like, why are we talking about personal development when 20, 30 years ago, no one was talking about personal development? But you could argue the businesses were still making good money. Would you make the argument that culture was better, and that was a result of not needing personal development, was because businesses just naturally spent more time having coffee with each other, talking, catching up? Like, what in your opinion has really caused the rise in personal development being a thing, in a leadership course being a thing now, where it wasn't 20, 30 years ago, or it was a lot more fringe? What have you noticed a decline in culture? Is it something else? What do you think it is?
I think it's the expectations of the leader now. It used to be 30 years ago, it was top down. You tell me what to do, you tell me what to do, you tell me what to do. There was a very hierarchical structure, whether that's in a footy club or in a business. Now that is changed dramatically. Right? So this notion of a corporate structure or a football club structure is really different. That's why you're learning different skills now.
Yeah.
Most people were happy to go to work 40 years ago. My dad was a classic example, and he rose to a leadership position, but it was, I tell, do this, okay, I'll do it to the best of my ability, and that's it. Now, there's a greater level of expectation when we're coming into the workplace. Now, the danger that, as you talked about, is a hybrid workplace. It's really hard to build strong relationships in a hybrid workplace. When you're not coming in and getting that incidental learning. Walk past someone's office. Oh, Dylan, what are you doing now? Oh, I'm just doing these files. I'll tell you what, come out to this client with me. Have you got time? Oh, that'd be awesome. Great. If you're a young, person in the business, I'm a senior person. You jump in the car because you're in the office. We go out to one of our best clients. You sit there, listen. There's the incidental learning. The danger at the moment with a hybrid workplace, or particularly working from home, we're just not getting that incidental learning that we did years ago.
And what about the coach killers in this conversation or in this field? The guys that don't see the soft skills as important, the people that don't see these things as important, what would be your message to them? Like, what do you try to tell them? Is there anything you can tell them, or is it just recognize that they're a part of your team and get them out of your team?
It's interesting. No, I think you give them all a chance. The difficult ones by far are the ones that do think they know it. When the ego creeps in, or the old school, this is the way I've done it for 30 years. They're the
Yeah.
ones you walk away from, to be honest. But internally within your group, within your company, give everyone a chance, give everyone an opportunity. But so the two things that I really look at is ego. I'm too good for everyone. I don't want to be held accountable. If we see that, that's a real red flag. And the owner of the business, or the CEO of the business, that just thinks that he's been there for so long, thinks there's only one way to do it. And people just leave after a while. All the good people leave those organisations because they're looking for more than just being told what to do. They are generally looking to improve their leadership capabilities.
So what's the first step? So in terms of taking the leap into personal development, it's finding a coach, finding a program, finding someone that you like online. The good thing about today's day and age is you can follow people for 6 months before you actually make the decision to hand money over to that person. Like, what do you recommend corporates do? You talked about at the start, just the personal responsibility piece around don't wait for your company to do it, just go and do it yourself. What do you recommend they do?
I think the first easy step is just recognizing opportunities. Networking is so easy now, but I think what happens is if we've got a work function or even a footy function, I've got to go to this function instead of, oh, wow, this will be interesting. I wonder who I can meet here. So every opportunity is an opportunity. So we've got to change our mindset around that. And then as you said, just explore. Have a look at a podcast, ask someone what's the best podcast you've heard. There's mentors everywhere. Check with your HR people and culture people at work. They'll investigate it as well. Just be inquisitive and keep asking, keep searching, and you'll definitely find something that's going to improve. And don't think you need to do it all at once either. That's the other thing. Just little by little, add something on. I'll do this for the next month. I'll do that for the month after that. And then I'll continue to get better. Don't rush it. Just continue to get better incrementally.
What do you see as the biggest differentiators between the best leaders that you work with and maybe on the other end of the spectrum, the poorer leaders that you work with? Is it this empty cup mindset of I'm going to go into these interactions thinking I don't know much and really trying to learn and developing that learner's first mindset?
Self-awareness to me, if it's not the number one thing, it's certainly top three. I like to see the self-aware leaders that know what they're really good at, know what their staff is good at, know what they can improve on, and the leaders that communicate. They're probably the two biggest things that I see. The really good leaders have great self-awareness, are prepared to communicate with their staff, and then through those, and there's more principles than that, but I'll pick those two out, and then through that, you're going to unearth some whatever problems in the organisation. You're going to help staff improve. You're going to find things out that happen really quickly. Someone's going to come to you and say, Ruzi, I've done this wrong, because they know you're a good communicator. You're self-aware. You're going to help them. So they're probably two of the main factors. But there's multiple levels. With that as well.
And then finally, last question I have is I found that there's a certain level of embarrassment almost in some people's mindsets around like, I should know this, so I'm not actually going to ask for help, or I'm not going to seek out help. What do you say to those people to, I guess, help shift that mindset away from like, maybe whether they're a 40, 50-year-old upper leader manager and they're going, shit, maybe there are things I don't know, but I should know this stuff, so I can't ask for help, or I can't, invest in a course because it makes me look stupid? Or what do you say to those sort of people to try to help them with their mindset to go, guys, what is that message you deliver?
It's pretty simple. I've never met a perfect leader. I've never met a perfect parent. I've never met a perfect coach. I've never met, a perfect, person within the community, the netball club, the football club.
Mm.
They don't exist. If you're looking at perfect in a sense, the perfect leader is a self-aware leader that's doing the course, listening to their friends, saying I'm sorry, asking questions, etc., etc. So don't be embarrassed. We're all looking to improve, and if you think you're the perfect leader, you're not. I can assure you, you are not, because I've never run into one. So don't be embarrassed. Everyone's on the journey. Everyone's learning. Be self-aware, and just continue to get better.
I've just got another question actually that's just popped into my head. So this will be the last one. What are the red flags that you see in terms of someone's own self-talk that could help them start to realize, okay, I do actually have a blind spot here? Like, when we talk about blind spots, you literally can't see them. So you tell someone some feedback, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them, they just can't see it. And that's the definition of a blind spot. Do you see any internal dialogue? Is it the, well, I am a perfect leader and I don't need to learn anything? And if you're in that boat thinking that right now, that's a red flag. You've got a blind spot. You should probably work on it. Like, what do you see as some of those sentences, phrases that you hear from leaders where you go, oh, this bloke's got a huge blind spot here and he just can't see it?
I think your point about blind spot is right. Everyone has blind spots. Everyone. So if we use the starting point is everyone has weaknesses and everyone has blind spots, then the opposite to that is we all need to improve. So that gets back to the self-awareness piece. So understand that, yes, we can all get better, but that's where the ego takes over, mate. Ego, we all need a healthy amount of ego to be able to do what we do. But the worst leaders are the ones that have got huge egos. And you can sort of see day one. The other thing is they don't want to be held accountable. That's another big, poor leaders don't want to hold themselves accountable. It's like their philosophy is, look, come in and work with the rest of the team. This is not for me. That's a huge red flag. But I think what you said before is right. Just understand that everyone has blind spots. Every person on the planet. If that's your starting point, how am I going to improve?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have today, mate. I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much. These are going to be dropping every Monday. We will be releasing these Monday leadership lessons with Paul Roos. For those of you who are not in the Leadership Academy already, check it out. There'll be a couple links floating around inside the school platform, inside the Paul Roos Leadership Group. Send a message on school to either Paul or myself. Make sure if you haven't jumped on the onboarding call that you click the link to jump on an onboarding call to chat with both of us. And we will see you next Monday for another lesson in leadership.